All right, I think we're good. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world. Um, I am on right now with Michael McCullough. We are going to be talking about AI related topics this afternoon, this morning, this evening, wherever you happen to be listening right now. Okay. So, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and let Michael introduce himself, and then we'll get right into the topics. All right, go ahead, Michael.
Thanks, I appreciate it. And first, thank you very much for the opportunity to come here and speak. This is wonderful. I've spoken with you the last time, and it was super wonderful. And I'm just really happy to be here. So, hello, everybody. My name is Michael McCullough. I live in Suffolk, Virginia, and I am the low-code architect. I always forget my own title. Low-code architect for Amtrak. I've been working here for about 9 years, or I'm sorry, not 9 years, 7 years. Feels like 9 years. And I've been in this role for the last 5 years. Let's see, I'm retired military. I was a consultant for Deloitte. And I always tell people that I kind of feel like doing consulting and process improvement and everything. I always felt like there was something missing. So I got into the low code business and which kind of transitioned into AI. And so that's why I'm here today.
Perfect. Wonderful. And I'm going to ask you a question about low code architecture here in a second. So for people who are interested in to know what that is. But I'll get to that here in a second. The two main topics that we're going to be talking about are related to one is project management and data management, and then the perception of AI within project management in the workplace. So I'm going to let you take either one of those two topics however you want, and we'll go from there.
Let's see, project management and AI. Gosh, what can I say about that? No, AI and project management. Let me just say this. AI is going to change the nature of project management. So when I was doing project management 9 years ago, I guess, at Anthem Healthcare, the typical scenario was you're managing two or three projects. You're sitting in meetings all day. You're in between or during meetings, you're answering questions. You're trying to do project status reports, look through your email, chat with people, and you're never really present. You're never really there. And that's, let's be honest, even if you're not a PM or a coordinator or whatever else, um, everybody can relate to this that we are drowning in tasks and data and just daily life. Um, I believe, true, to my bones, that we are going to uh, see a change in how we manage projects because of AI. It's going to basically help us get free time and really be project managers again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. When you talk about all the things you listed, absolutely, that's everything that I do. And sometimes you're not as present as you would like to be, or you have to get present with your project prior to even going to the meeting so that you have what you need prior to going in. So, talk a little bit about when you talk about that whole um, being present, give an example of what you think, or maybe what you've seen on how AI can help with that.
Yeah. So I guess let's start at the root of the project. So when we go in at towards the middle or end of the year, and we talk about the future projects for next year.
Mhm.
Um, so we typically sit down and we have our intended projects that we would like to work on, or stuff that we've gotten from folks, and we as a human we have to look at financials and workforce availability
Mhm.
and IT availability and just all these different facets. Now, again, I just said we're usually managing two to three projects. We're doing that as well as trying to do end of year for the next year's projects. So we're trying to digest all this data. Oh, by the way, we are all subject to our own personal biases. So what if I'm the one that submitted a project? I may, be kind of leaning towards that, or a friend of mine did it. And I'm not saying this always happens, but maybe even we had a bad experience on a project that something similar came up that we may go, you know what? No way. I don't think we should do that. So the AI is going to help us look at the data that is available that we've trained, and it's going to help us make those decisions. So literally at the beginning of the year, we have turnkey projects that may or may not in on first look be be the winners,
Hmm.
but in reality, hey, the workforce is just right. All the other environmentals and conditions are just right, and that is going to lead to a more successful product or projects. Excuse me. If you think about, well, I want to say the last metric I saw was there's over $42 trillion every year invested in projects, but only 35% of them are considered successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for
Yeah.
factors like that because we are so inundated. So, what if we could make sure, like, just give it the best chance to start out of the box?
Yeah, I like what you said there. So, like, if you, again, at the beginning of the year, you've got several projects and you're determining which is the priority. Being able to use AI to feed it the data, the raw data, agnostic of even like specifics like client information. You just want the raw data of what the project entails, right? And
Yes.
it actually prioritizes it for you. It takes you out of it because all the things you said, the biases, the saying, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. You can even input things like lessons learned from
Right.
maybe
Past
similar
projects.
projects. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And allow it to crunch that data. It could crunch it faster than you. Um, and give you that priority so that you can then maybe poke a hole in that number you just gave of
All right.
projects
Absolutely.
that don't succeed, right? Because that's a reality. That's reality. So that's great. So let me ask you this. Let's get into the perceptions of AI within project management in the workplace. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. No, I was, and as a matter of fact, I was just talking to somebody about this about an hour ago. And I said, well, think about it. I wasn't raised with the internet. I'm a 70s baby. And my internet kind of coming of age wasn't until probably the early 2000s. I knew it was out there, but it wasn't really, it was the AOL at the time. That was scary for a lot of people,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, there's this, oh, it's all garbage on there. It's all this, and to an extent, they were right. Now, I mean, you can't, I mean, we're having a conversation on the internet now, which is
Mhm.
just hysterical. Um, but it's about how you use it. And I think it's about education. It's about expectations. Bad people will do bad things with good things.
Yes. Yes.
I think what we need to do is educate, have those conversations back and forth, always make sure that we're doing our due diligence and that we're you're not controlling because control is such a, I think, it's a farce. There is no control. It's we're
Yeah.
aware of what's happening, and then again, okay, hey, what can we do with this? Let's come up
Mhm.
with good ideas rather than sitting on things, letting people figure out how to do bad things with it. So I think there's definitely unlimited good applications that can have.
Mhm.
Um, really try to take the news and the information that you get with a grain of salt. So clearly, if you want great information on AI, you probably shouldn't be listening to the federal government. I mean, let's be honest. And I think there are going to be people out there who are self-serving with the things that they say.
Yeah.
But I think if we have good conversations and we do good things, in the end, it'll turn out better.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. And then for me, I'll just say that, I mean, there's different levels of perception in AI. And this is something that I said previously. I know we're gonna, yeah, previously in a video that I posted onto my LinkedIn is that some people are like all on board. They're the early adopters or like, sign me up, let me learn more. Some people are just like, nah, I think I'll just go ahead and stick with what I normally know. And then there's just ones that are kind of there, but they're kind of looking. So I would say that let me ask you this question. What's one practical thing that you've used AI for? Let's say, for example, Chat GPT, because that's the biggest one that like
Oh, right.
exploded last year. So what's
Well,
one practical thing as a
apps.
PM that you're using
And
for it?
they're that right there in itself. When people think of AI, they think of typically the first thing that comes to mind is dangerous robots from the future coming back to get us, right? Whereas when we think of AI conceptually, AI is a lot like physics. there's a lot of areas of AI, just like in physics, and there's subcategories of that, and it's more of an area of study. Now,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things we can do that are very practical every day with it. Number
Mhm.
one, we're using AI right now in our conversation. The
Yes,
lighting, your background, the volumes,
absolutely.
the voices, that is all being controlled by algorithms.
Yes.
My watch every day it tells me, hey, get up, and it monitors what
Same.
I'm doing.
Mhm.
How I travel is AI. It defines the best route for me to get there. Me, in a business sense, number one, I love the Teams premium capacity because as I'm in meetings, it takes the notes for me, it transcribes it, it
Yeah.
summarizes everything so that number one, project management right there as a coordinator. How many times did you sit for hours on end and not even get to finish a set of notes before going to the next one, and you've already
Right.
forgotten, what was in the past, or
Yes.
you came to a meeting late. With the Teams Premium, you can say, "Hey, what did I miss?" and it will summarize that. Um, I would say in the future, we're looking at, in the very near future, we're looking at voice assistants that I can say, "Hey," I don't want to say it because my phones will go off. Voice assistant, schedule me a meeting with these people, find the best time instead of you having to go on Outlook and do it. I want you to include the notes from this meeting, generate
Mhm.
an agenda, and oh, by the way, generate a short 10 slide deck.
Yeah.
What would have just taken you half hour, 45 minutes took you about 5 minutes. So I think
Yeah.
it's all about efficiency, time savings. The last one you mentioned was Chat GPT, right?
Mhm.
So I have ideas in my head. I can articulate them verbally very well and visually. I feel like I'm a horrible writer. Once I get started, once I get that going, I'm good. But it's literally just getting over that hump. So I use it a lot to generate outlines and
Mhm.
general templates. And then what that does for me is my documents are very consistent,
Yeah.
and I'm able to put in more substance versus, okay, how do I start this sentence or how do I get
Mhm.
this going?
Mhm. Yes. Excellent. Yeah. The whole thing with the note taking, I am not I'm just gonna say it. I don't like summarizing meeting notes.
Neither do
I don't. So some of the things that are out there that you mentioned are great. Like even with Zoom, even with this, we're doing this via Zoom, and there's a app or a app addition that you can add for that is a note taker that does a really good job. I mean, you review it and you put in and take out what you want or don't want, and it makes things so much more efficient. So, yes, there are so many practical things out there in the AI space for PMs that they can start with and
Yeah.
then just kind of get
Like
to work
today,
with
that you
others.
could use it today. And,
Yeah.
you said something just a second ago that really kind of caught my, and this is one thing that I always, and again, it goes back to perception and expectations. Review it. It's just like if you, again, I'm a Gen Xer, so I go to the library to do a book report or to do a report on a subject. Do I just pick up one book and then take that for face value? No. I go in, I find several documents and resources. With AI, it's the exact same thing. You're not going to tell your Copilot or GPT or whatever else tool that you're using, hey, I want to report on this or whatever, and then you just copy it and you're done. That's not the way this works. Maybe in the future it is, but I kind of think of, look, if I'm the chef, I want to put my own flair on this. I just don't want to copy the recipe. So
Right. Yeah.
definitely the expectation needs to be set that, okay, this is not a turnkey solution. It's a way to save you time.
Right. Absolutely. I love the chef analogy. Every chef is going to taste their food before they put it out there, right? Thing you produce, or if you start with an outline or you have AI reword something, you're going to review it and put your own voice to it. So that is an excellent analogy. Yes. Couple things because we're almost done. I wanted to ask you about. Let me ask you this first. What is a low code architect and what do they do? Can you give a brief synopsis for those of you that heard you say that and was like, what is that?
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny. People ask me, oh, what do you do? I could sit here for hours and talk about what I do. But generally speaking, again, 5 years ago, I was brought into this role. Low code was out there. IT was very afraid that it was going to be a big shadow IT, lots of hacking, and So what I do is I ensure that all of our employees, our over 28,000 employees, have tools, training, resources, and the support available that they can build these one-off solutions. So an example that I use is you're a project manager and your organization does not have a method of tracking project requirements. So you, instead of using an Excel spreadsheet, which we've all done, you build a very
Mhm.
small app and you put in a method of approvals. So hey, here's this is an agreed upon requirement. It's linked to this page of the document. Here are the requirements. Here are the people that are involved. You now hit send for approval, and it goes out to those folks to make their notes on to then come back. Now you have one big document, a database full of that. Now a lot of people say like, oh well, gosh, that sounds like really complicated. No, not really, because now with AI, you can tell that low code software, this is what I want to build, and it will build it for you. So
Okay.
that's one, I think, very relevant example of that. Now, I'm the guy that makes sure that they have that support, that they have that training, that sometimes when we're sitting in a meeting, that they don't even realize what's available. So when we start ideating, I'll say, oh, why don't
Mhm.
you use AI to input that? Or why don't you use a Power Automate or a Flow or a dashboard.
Okay.
I'm also make sure that what we're doing aligns with the company's
Mhm.
strategy. So I don't want our folks running around just doing whatever because that's kind of what we were doing in the past,
Yeah.
and that didn't, end very well or result in very good results. So I try to work with the executives, IT, the business owners, and the end users to make sure that we're all kind of going in the same direction. So and oh, by the way, I stay on top of the technology. So I probably spend 2 to 3 hours every day looking through new techniques, having these conversations with other folks like, oh, how did you solve this problem? Maybe
Mhm.
that can help us, or me giving advice as well. So that's
Okay.
mostly what I do.
Okay, perfect. That's a good lead in because I was going to ask you what services or what service do you offer individuals or groups or companies that are looking to maybe get I guess the what I'm get into AI or they're looking
Yeah.
to create an efficiency around
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny in all of my travels and meetings and talks with folks, the one consistent question that always comes up from people is how? How,
it.
like, okay, the software is the easy part, to be honest. It really is.
Mhm.
I mean, I was 48 when I learned how to do this, 46 when I learned how to do this. I'm not a programmer. It was very easy. Lots of coffee, lots of YouTube. That's the easy part. You already know as an employee or as a worker or as a consultant owner of your own business, you already know the challenges that you have and what you kind of need to do it. What I offer is I help go in and sit down with your CIO, your CEO, all of your executives, your security department, your business owners, and help develop those relationships. That's really the hardest part. Develop the expectation that, look, you're really concerned about security, but it's okay because the way that I run our company is more, our program is more like bumper bowling, right? I set up hard, fast rules that you can't like, but there's only like one or two of them. But then everything else is kind of easy in the middle. A lot of times it's hard to have those conversations because as a security person, my answer is no, right?
Mhm.
And as an employee, my answer is gimme, gimme, gimme because I need things. I'm
Mhm.
the person that helps come in and get that ball rolling. And then in every situation, it's going to be a little bit different. You could be a consulting company or a manufacturing company of the exact same service, but how you do it is going to be a little bit different. And
Mhm.
finding
Okay.
those nuances and setting those expectations, I think is typically the hardest thing to do.
I see. Okay. So that company that is looking for that efficiency, they have a group, a staff, and they're doing things a little too manually, if you will, whether it's, a particular output of a report or a particular outcome from their activities, you can come in and help them
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
streamline that. That's pretty
Yeah,
much
and
what you're able to do.
I would say from Amtrak, so just in the few applications, because I actually measure the effectiveness of these applications. So our largest project management app that we built using low code, and that was 6 years ago, it saved in reporting time We're at 1.6 million personnel hours in submitting like project status reports. And by the time we added all this up, and by the time it was like 800 people, and every year it's 1.6 million hours. And with a reduction in fines or reporting errors, funding, we're at $68 million returned back to the company in savings. So it's
Interesting.
very
Yeah.
efficient. But again, you
Okay.
have to have somebody who stands in between everybody and kind of helps move that along.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So we'll put some information in the description or in the chat with regards to that service. So anyone who's interested, who heard you talk about that and said, I'm really needing to get a little bit more efficient on how I output my reports. We're doing this a little too, it's taking too long. So they may want to solicit you for your services. So I will definitely put that in there for people to talk through that. Very, very last question. For that person who is AI phobic, what's the first thing you would tell them to do?
Um, uh, your AI focus, dream big. Seriously, I know that's going to sound kind of cliche, but dream big. Think of like the big picture, because I guarantee the easiest question to answer instead of what can I do with this is what can't I do with it, and that's like almost nothing. So you always look at your processes, look at how you're currently doing it, and then think, okay, hey, at the end of the day, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to save money or time or all the above, or improve my quality of my products? There is an AI field of study or tool or method out there that will help. That's going to be the easier part of figuring out, like, okay, hey, I want to automate roll off of a product. There's something out there that does it. It's just
Yeah,
about getting educated.
great. So that AI focused person and then that AI averse person, that's probably the same answer, would you say? Like you want
Yeah,
them to go
for the AI
in.
averse person, I would say dream big, but have a conversation.
Yeah,
Literally, stop believing some of the negative hype. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying it's a turnkey cure all. There's work that goes into it, and it always begs watching. Um, but um, but take a chance. I mean, we didn't get to the moon by just we're the Wright brothers. That's where we'll stop. No, we need to move forward.
excellent. And we'll end it with that. So, everyone, I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight into the future of AI, the right now of AI, honestly, and how you can actually start today with just utilizing just a small piece of what you may have seen or learned to make things more efficient for yourself as a PM or whatever your career path is. All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.